dive into the lesson of the day. Today's lesson is in Unit 2 and it's about economic indicators. There are 6 key economic indicators. Carden came up with the following mnemonic for economic indicators and it goes as follows. People pay money for every purchase. The P in people stands for production indicators. The P in pay stands for price change indicators. The M in money stands for monetary change indicators. The F in for stands for foreign trade indicators. The E in every stands for employment indicators. The P in purchase stands for productivity indicators. So in the exam this mnemonic will definitely help you come up with these indicators. Let's kickstart with production indicators. Under production indicators we will look at real GDP or GDP at constant prices, nominal GDP or GDP at current prices and lastly per capita real GDP. What is real GDP or GDP at constant prices? GDP at current prices is a measure of a country's economic output based on the current market prices of goods and services in the year being measured. It reflects the total value of all final goods and services produced within the country's borders, and each product's value is measured at the prices prevailing during the specific year of calculation. Example, let's consider an imaginary country called Econland. In the year 2022, Econland produced 100,000 smartphones, and each smartphone was sold for 5,000 rands. The GDP at current prices for 2022 would be calculated as follows. GDP at current prices, 2022, equals number of smartphones produced, 100,000, times price per smartphone, 5,000, equals 500 million rands. GDP at constant prices, also known as real GDP, is a measure that adjusts for the impact of inflation or deflation by using a fixed or base year's prices. This method allows for a more accurate comparison of economic output across different years because it eliminates the influence of changing price levels. Example, let's continue with our example of Econland. To calculate GDP at constant prices, we use a base year, such as 2020, to set fixed prices for goods and services. In this scenario, the base year is 2020, and we know that each smartphone was sold for 4,000 rands in 2020. Now, in 2022, we use the 2020 prices to calculate the real GDP. GDP at constant prices, 2022, equals number of smartphones produced, 100,000, times price per smartphone in the base year, 4,000 rands, equals 400 million rands. So the key difference between GDP at current prices and GDP at constant prices lies in how they handle changes in price levels. GDP at current prices reflects the economic output using current market prices, which means it includes the impact of inflation or deflation. In contrast, GDP at constant prices adjusts for inflation by using fixed prices from a chosen base year, allowing for a more accurate comparison of economic performance over time.